Hey, we all have hectic lives, and buying or selling a home can just make things even more of a chaotic mess. If you are moving to the Austin area, what would you need to get comfortable with that decision? Even if you lived in town and you needed to purchase or sell a home, how would you want to be treated? Chris Ott with the Ott Group of Keller Williams Realty has been a longtime friend and was the guy who I worked with to find the perfect property solution for me. I wanted a professional with knowledge of the Austin area to help me with my home search, navigate the paperwork, and negotiate on my behalf. And Chris Ott was the right agent for the job. Chris, his business partner, Teresa Ott Busseau, and their team of 5 agents have helped thousands of people move to and from the Austin area. The Ott family is celebrating over 35 years in business in Austin and plan to provide their real estate services for many more years to come. Their mantra is, your move matters, and that is what they focus on. Just go to their website at theottgroup.com and get connected with the Austin real estate team dedicated to taking care of you. That's THEOTT group.com. You can also call 512-222-6881 or email them at info@theottgroup.com to get connected with them today. Tell them that Stephen with the Parent Portal Show sent you and start working with a professional who is dedicated to your next move. All right, Coach. Well, here we are. It's another glorious day in Austin, Texas, and it seems like we just keep getting crazier and crazier on some of the things happening with NIL, but it's all exciting and it's all interesting. So I think we're going to have a great show for today.
Excited to be back. And I think you said it well. Things are changing in this world, and NIL is changing by the moment.
Well, and let's jump into it. So going down our news items, the one that really caught my attention was a Time Magazine article about Sam Hurley and this young athlete that's come to the University of Texas to run track, and how he and his story, which is kind of an interesting story. Maybe I can give a little bit of a overview of it, and then we can figure out how that applies to our community. This young man in Arkansas, he's making, he and what's our athlete, our gymnast athlete?
Livy Dunn from LSU.
Dunn. Yeah. He and Dunn are the two athletes on the top 20 lists that are making over $1 million in NIL. And but he and Dunn are the only two that are not either a basketball player or a football player. So that's kind of interesting. And his claim to fame a little bit is the fact that he got started early, got involved in social media, got going with the likes and the followers, and really made a name for himself through social media. His story is that as he was approaching college age, he really wasn't sure what he was going to be able to do because he really needed to make money. And he is considered an influencer, has done real well, over 1 million followers in 6 months when he first got on social media. But what was his challenge is what a lot of these kids have. He just didn't have the opportunity to go play college ball or do a college sport without some kind of financial support. And lo and behold, the rules changed 2 years ago as of July 2nd. And sure enough, this young man is now at the University of Texas, quite an athlete. There's no doubt that he wasn't an athlete, but he has become a huge following and a huge, got some great money deals.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think. I know that he's actually competing this weekend here in Austin, and they're having the national championship track meet here. at Mike Myers Stadium, and he's going to be he's going to be building his brand with his performance. And when we talk about our community, it's important to remember that the performance is what got you there, really. And then as you build your brand from that, take advantage of your performance, but you know don't stop becoming the best you can be, because they'll forget about who you were and move on to the next person that's willing to be a great performer out there.
Well, we all know sports are somewhat of a fleeting moment anyway, and your moment of fame and moment of being the best is a very small window, and most athletes have to figure that out pretty quickly because they move on. There's always someone stronger, younger, and better coming up. But yeah, so just kind of looking at some of the things that Sam Hurley's done, he's already signed deals with and made appearances with Wells Fargo, Sony, and Duncan, or that are well known name brand businesses that are out there. He's he certainly local car dealerships and taco joints are all in that kind of space right now. According to Open Endorse, over 90,000 college athletes have already made money on their platform alone. So that's through the Open Doors platform. And they're projecting that by the end of this year, over $100 million in NIL money will have been earned by athletes.
That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. When you think 2 years ago, as we approach like the anniversary coming up, 2 years ago, that money was going somewhere, or it wasn't going out of the pockets of someone. But now these athletes have this opportunity, and I'd say it's a big opportunity to be able to cash in on on what they've been working at and training for all this time. And it's incredible times, incredible times.
All right. 20 top social media, I'm sorry, NIL uh, earners. You want to guess who's at the top of the list right now?
Man, well, I
Number
tell
one,
you, who is it?
it's Bronny James already,
Wow,
6.8
wow.
million. But
You think
Livy
that has
Dunn's
to
not.
do?
Go ahead.
No, I said, do you think that has anything to do with, his performance solely, or does it have to do with what that last name looks like and the influence that that name has given him?
Yeah, we all know the answer to that. That's the
Yeah,
James
yeah,
brand
exactly.
right
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
That's exactly what that is. Now, Livy Dunn has done. She's number two on that list, and she's at 3.4 million. So there you go. There's a little bit. Now, here's where it gets fun. Number three is Arch Manning at 2.8 million. You travel on down the list a little bit, and then you run into um, let's see here. Number 19 is Quinn Ewers at 1.2 million. I saw another name or two that I thought was worthy of that.
How about Xavier Worthy at number
Yeah,
22?
Worthy's on here too. Oh, there he is. He's at 22 with 1.1 million. So there's three Texas football players on the top 25. And then we have this Sam Hurley kid coming in at 1.1, and he's number 24. So four of the top 25 in the country are coming in on the Texas squad. What do you think of that?
Well, I have to kind of scratch my head a little bit, because obviously they're doing something right over there on the
Yeah.
40 acres. But if we look back into where we were, a few months ago, I remember the story of Arch Manning not accepting any NIL deals
Mm.
because, and I don't know if that's changed or if they're just basing this on the what they see the project, and looking at it, that's the index of the projected annual value of the athletes. So that's what they're projecting. It's not necessarily what
Hmm.
they're putting in their pocket. And so as a result, Arch, if he doesn't have an NIL deal, he's the number 3 projected value commodity in the market.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's crazy. So if he decided to say, "Hey, I want to get an NIL deal with him," that's what he's commanding right now without even doing anything. That's just nuts. Ugh.
Yep. Well, the influencer market, right? So thinking about social media just overall, the influencer market is expected to grow to 21.1 billion this year. And that's according to Influencer Marketing Hub. So, hey, there is a lot of money out there. And
Yes,
it's an
sir.
interesting way to go earn it. All right. Well, so there you go. That's not a bad way to start. What else do we want to talk about today?
Well, we've got an interesting one. I know that in the past few months we've talked a lot about how NIL is kind of moving into the high school arena, and
Yep.
straight out of Cleveland, Tennessee, which is a little suburb of Chattanooga, we have a deal where a volleyball team from Bradley County has signed an NIL deal with a carpet company from Chattanooga,
Mm.
and it's unbelievable because when you think about it, it's here it is. We didn't think we would be having a conversation like this in January, and
Yep.
here we are in June, and we're not only talking about it, it's happening, and kids are being able to get these deals, usually on a community local level,
Yeah.
and I am just amazed by how their brands are being used to promote business.
Yeah. High schools are already getting thrown into this mix. And, here's the challenge that I think about on all this. Just think of our local high schools right here. We're already in a district where we have a little bit of a challenge with kids wanting to go to one high school and not other high schools. And that causes problems. Now, all of a sudden, if you're telling me that our high school down the street is the big NIL high school and all the kids that are going there are getting NIL deals, oh my gosh, how are you going to keep parents from moving into the district? I know that's already happening right now for athletes, but it's based off of the fact they want to be in a good school district, and you hope academics is an influence there also. But yeah, coach, it's getting crazy. Here we go. We got high schools competing against high schools for money, and that's gonna really open a lot of floodgates. This is where the NCAA again just did not do anyone any favors, because you've got different states that have already written their deals, and they're protecting kids to have NIL deals, and this is not going to get any prettier.
Yeah, and uh, the more that's in the soup, so to speak, the harder is going to be able to decide what it is that you're trying to eat, because they are with each state being in a position to make their own um, rules. It's going to be all over the place. It's
Yeah.
it'll never be exactly the same the way it currently is.
Well, all right. Shall we jump on to the USFL and talk about how it may never be the same with these guys getting involved?
Wow, what a crazy story we had this week. So the USFL, the head of the USFL, who was the president of the league, his name was Brian Woods. He wants to
Yeah.
start a spring league, basically in destination cities where They're great high school programs. We're not talking college, we're talking high school programs. And
Mm-hmm.
so his idea is to have, these destination cities where they can put together, dream teams. And,
Yep.
it's kind of wild when you think about it, but his idea is to have a 6 week season, and these athletes, 4 and 5 star high school athletes, are going to have the opportunity to play and be able to have NIL deals as a result of their playing in this league and be able to build their brand. And they're going to be in direct competition with like IMG, like Sevens leagues, which are all very all very much out in front of them, and being able to showcase elite athletes already. And they're kind of coming in the market saying, we don't want to take over this, we just want to complement this. And wow, now you're talking even bigger deals, that again 2 years ago nobody was thinking something like this. And mom and dad are sitting around the community table going, you want to do what now? You want to go play in what league during the summer or during the spring? Aren't you still in school? How is this going to work? And I sit here and go, that's there's part of me that goes, that's so cool. But there's another part of me that's just said, holy cow, this is bigger than anything that we're capable of, leading and doing. And it's scary but exciting times.
Yeah. Well, put me in the camp of, man, just not another camp or clinic or team that we have to be that we have to join. And it's, look, I'm sure the USFL is going to do a good job, but we've already got NFL doing the flag program. We've already got these 7-on-7 programs that are really starting to take a lot of energy and time. We got a game today that we've got to be at, scrimmage. It is just wearing us out. And I thought summer was going to slow down a little bit, but it's just, programs on top of other programs. And I think there's a little bit, the youth sports industry has grown amazingly amounts of money and participation. And it is interesting to see how much um, kids and parents and communities are locking into the active lifestyle around youth sports. That's that's good stuff, right? We all agree that's good that that's happening. Where I think I'm starting to see some of the frustration and the challenges is different programs try to do different things on top of other dates and nights and weeks, and it's difficult. We played 3 baseball games this week. We've done performance camp activities all week long. We've had we've had scrimmages and games on 7-on-7, and it is just, it's, when is it going to end? I'm ready for the day where I get to sit by the pool and drink an umbrella drink. But yeah, it is getting challenging. USFL, I'm sure, will do a great job. They always do. They try to bring in a pretty top program. It is going to make it interesting, though. And let me think about this out loud with you for a moment, Coach. The challenge will be, well, why would I join that? What do I benefit out of that if I'm already playing at high school level, and I'm getting exposure through the high school team? Then what does the USFL have to offer for me? Now, one of the things that you and I are a part of right now is these performance camps. They're actually pretty powerful because this is when kids are starting to build muscle and build that endurance and build up. And I could see that being an area where there might be some interesting uh, tie-in to recruiting, because performance camps will keep up with the kids pretty well at that point. But yeah, I don't know, Coach. It's wearing me out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it is only going to get bigger. And some of the things that you kind of said that are just truths is like money has found its way into this,
Mm.
and it is going to continue to, um, moms and dads are going to spend money on their kids to help them be better on and off the field, and in the classroom and out. The thing that I've seen is, and you probably can remember this, back in our time, there wasn't anything close to this. We had a football field, we had a baseball field, and that was it, And now these opportunities that are out there to go to a sevens tournament, on the other side of the country, or
Right.
go play in a select baseball game in Oklahoma, uh,
Yep.
those were things that happen once in a while, not
Right. Once
once
a
every
year.
weekend. Yeah,
Yeah.
and now those things are every week,
Yeah.
and the people that are putting these things on are it wasn't like a mom and dad back in our time. These are professional businesses that know how to market, know how to sell, know how to brand, and they're doing all that. And as parents, you see that and you want your kid to be good, whether it's in the classroom or on the field of play. You want them to be good, so you're out there getting coaches and getting opportunities for them to get better. And I'm a big believer in sports. I think that sports can change. That does a great job in changing our lives.
Sure.
But this is a different animal than from 20 years ago. And as it continues to grow, it's going to be interesting to see how families grow within that as well. And bringing it back on that community level is like, how do we best help each other through this stuff? Because it's bigger than just you and me now.
Yeah, no, I agree. Communities are trying to figure it out. I'll tell you another thing that communities are trying to figure out is insurance. And a lot of times they don't always have the answers. Now, My Camera Allstate is one of those local vendors and community people that is committed to giving good answers to their community. And they always seem to know the insurance business pretty well. So getting My Camera Allstate on your team is putting yourself in good hands. So this would be a commercial for My Camera Allstate right now, but he hadn't gotten his 30-second commercial to me yet. So I'm going to keep rolling through this and we'll cut it
Yeah,
as need be.
yeah.
But he is working on it. So that's good news. All right. Well, so now we've got all this, choices, a lot of choices, a lot of activity going on. And then, of course, they're not doing a darn thing up in Washington, D.C. today that necessarily is going to make an impact, but there's a lot of activity going on there. What do we need to be talking about on the NCAA collective side?
Today is a big day on Capitol Hill, not just the politics of what's happening in our country and world, but in the world of NIL. A collective of coaches from the SEC, Arizona, and a few other colleges have gone
Mm-hmm.
to Capitol Hill to basically reach out to Congress and say, hey, you got to help us with this. And all
Mm-hmm.
those things that we have been talking about, with states saying, in the absence of leadership, we're going to make our own rules, are now they're right in front of Congress with these problems. And
Yeah.
you take a big power conference like the SEC, and they're going and they're saying, we've got some states that don't have any rules. And we have some states that have some pretty strict guidelines that, prohibit them from being able to play on a level playing field. And they've reached out to Steve Scalise, who is one of the leaders in the Republican Party for Congress, and they're saying, hey, we got to get some relief here,
Yeah.
and this is what it's been building towards. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how this conversation plays out in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah. You got Charles Baker up there trying to do his thing now. It's interesting. He really has some connections in Washington, D.C. That is one thing that Baker brought to the table when he came on board with the NCAA. And I do feel like if there's someone who can kind of keep the NCAA moving along, he seems to be the right guy. Unfortunately, I just feel like the train has left the station. And, we're talking about a pretty heavy agenda. We know there's a lot of politics going on. We know getting into next year's election year is not going to help anything. I'd be very surprised if anything of significance comes about out of DC, which isn't good for NCAA. It certainly allows the states to operate in that vacuum. They will continue stepping up. And I don't know, Coach. I'm not sure we're going to get a lot out of this.
Yeah, it's not going to happen in the next 2023 cycle for sure. I mean, you're looking 2024 as the earliest that something could be kind of put in place as far as some type of universal, if you will, guideline. But in the absence of that, I just see this becoming more and more out of control. I mean, 29 states now have rules, have laws that allow, these collectives that allow the deals to being made, and then you're looking at 21 other states that are going, hey, what about us?
Yeah.
And they're leaning on the NCAA, and the NCAA is like going, well, it's kind of out of our hands, and our they take the side of like they're trying to claw their way back into it. And I think it's way out of their hands personally. I think that, my opinion is like it's going to eventually have to come to some type of agreement. But right now, you're in the battle right now of like what it's going to look like.
Yeah, our good friend Nick Saban's got a little bit to say about that, doesn't he?
Holy cow. Well, the haves and the have nots have always been in Nick's backyard, and he's certainly been one of the haves for a long time. But Alabama currently doesn't have the same type of laws governing it as maybe like a Texas or, some of the other states. And so he's kind of feeling like one of the have nots right now. And that's a different feeling for him. And he's really pushing the narrative that, they should unionize this, and which is like where they would be employees. And, where the states that already have this, they're going, no, 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 we're all good. And Nick is, not very happy because he's basically coming from a place where he has been able to go into the houses and apartments of families and sit down with them and be able to sell his program as the best program in the world. And there's a lot of truth to that. But now there's a lot of other teams that can say that too. And why does my athlete in California have to go play for Alabama when they can stay at home and play for USC? And they get paid good money to be able to do it. There's a lot of those conversations that are happening out there, and Nick's kind of unhappy because he's not in the middle of it anymore.
Yeah, well, a labor union's a great idea, a very interesting idea for sure. The challenge is they have to be employees if they're going to be in a labor union, and that's where I think you're going to get a lot of pushback. That means the universities are going to be the employers. Until that happens, we're not going to see any legislation along that line. It is going to be, well, I think your point is well made. These coaches are trying to figure it out, and a salary cap on what these athletes can make. I mean, give me a break. That I don't see any salary caps being mentioned for coaches right now at all.
Nah, it's not happening. Not happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of wealth out there, but the haves and those who've had it for a long time tend to be less willing to share it unless they really feel like they're getting something for their money. And to force the money to be distributed in a more equitable way. That's the battle we're fighting. I mean, that's why you see some of these lawsuits and some of these college athletes that went after the universities. That was, kind of how the dam began to break and crack, and now we're starting to see the floods. So, well, we've covered a lot. I want to go back to the Sam Hurley article for a moment and kind of point out, here's this kid who's, really just kind of a self influencer who's done it all himself, learned how to, throw up some TikTok videos and get enough followers that now all of a sudden he's making a decent living out of it. I thought it was pretty interesting. He ended up at the University of Texas, and guess what? UT alum he wants to go study underneath to learn more about radio and television and film.
Yeah,
Our
it's pretty
our own
revealing,
Matt,
right?
yeah, our own Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
He wants to get in that class with McConaughey so that he can learn from someone who's actually pretty good at it. McConaughey's done pretty well for himself in that area, for sure.
Yeah,
I thought that was certainly kind of a fun thing to think about. Another thing that I liked about Hurley that I want to kind of bring up is he doesn't smoke or drink. And that's an interesting life choice that he made, very positive life choice. And ironically, that might help him enhance his following. I know that when moms get involved in looking at some of the people that their kids are following, sometimes they like to establish some rules there. So Hurley certainly set himself up for some positive influence, and I'm always happy to hear that.
yeah, it's and to your point is as you described it earlier, is he is trying to make the Olympics, and
Yeah.
he wants to be able to make the Paris Olympic Games and probably the LA Games in 28. And
Mm-hmm.
the one of the biggest things that is a lifestyle change for these athletes is they come under so much testing with USADA and WADA, which are the United States Anti-Doping Agency and World Anti-Doping Agency, that they get tested sometimes on a weekly basis if they're elite
Mm-hmm.
athletes. And so they really have to watch what they put into their body because it's pretty no nonsense. And the athlete that is willing to, buy into all that stuff are the ones that usually see the rewards of their sacrifice.
Sure.
Um, it's it's amazing, but the part that a lot of athletes, kind of don't see is how a good lifestyle is contagious. You said this earlier. Moms, are looking for people that they would be great role models for your kid. And if you're out there and you're drinking, you're smoking, you're setting bad examples, whatever it may be that is, not what they consider or what we consider, a healthy lifestyle, they don't want you to be a part of it. And while you may get some people that jump on that boat and say, yeah, this is great, um, there's more people that don't jump on that boat and they say, look, you need to live up to this way. And I think that he's on the right path. My personal opinion is I think he's on the right path. I mean, he's buying into what um, his sport is asking him to do, and he's doing it and showing that he can be successful, not just on the field of play, but off as well.
Yeah, and maybe it's my cynicism that I have about a lot of celebrities and these kind of role model people that kids do get caught up into. But there's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on with. They may present a positive, healthy lifestyle, but when the cameras are turned off, there's drinking and smoking and whatever else that goes on. But for him to, at least this point, as far as we know, he seems to kind of believe in that, and more power to him.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I agree with it. I think that, to be the person that he is trying to be, he can't be the other side of that, because the sport, the USOPC won't allow it. Texas may have their own standards, but the USOPC has even higher. And if you can't live up to it, somebody else will.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge.
Yeah, a little anecdote that I thought was kind of pretty interesting this week. I watched the Mary Poppins story, and they talked about how Walt Disney, and I kind of remembered this, but I forgot about it. But Walt Disney smoked, but he would never smoke around people. He was very careful to hide that bad habit away from the fans. So another person who certainly had a big influence on lifestyle and positive messages, but he personally had his own little crutch. Well, Coach, I think we've covered a lot today. It's been a good day, no doubt, but tomorrow's a new day, and I'm sure we'll get some surprising new twists on what's next. But, I think it again kind of just comes back to what parents should be doing right now. It's, we're all in our communities. We're all out and about doing the drive to and from the practices, the fields, the camps. It eats up into your day. It eats up into your game plan. I know a lot of people. We're one of those families. We really just don't have a big scheduled summer activity because we're happy to be at home and just try to make it to all the camps and things that we need to be at. But being able to continue to stay on top of these things, what's coming out, what's changing with NIL. Who knows? Next week, my kid may be eligible to go create his own TikTok video and sell a $3 burger and get endorsement if it came down that way. Who knows? But
yeah,
I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's next week's a new opportunity.
Absolutely. And just a reminder, as your kiddo is out there and playing 3 sports and traveling all over the place, let them be kids. They only get one chance to be a kid, and just remind them to be a kid every now and then, and have fun doing it. It's something that we as parents have to keep reminding ourselves they're kids. And I think that if we do that, when they grow up, they'll appreciate that moment that we kind of pushed them towards, and saying, "Hey, just be a kid a little bit longer."
All right. Well, until next time, play fair, play hard, and have fun.
You've seen prices rise from the dinner table to the pump, but Allstate agents are seeing ways to save you money on insurance. From starting a new policy to bundling coverage or even driving safely, Allstate agents know how to maximize your savings. They'll share their knowledge as they help you personalize your coverage. Because when it comes to seeing all the ways to save, Allstate agents do it best.
Mike Hammer has over 35 years as an Austin area Allstate agent. Call 512-343-6994 or visit mikehammer@allstate.com.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This is the Parent Portal Show.